What's going on, everybody? Staff Sergeant Michael Eckert here. Today I'm going to teach you how to get your first pull-up using an 8-step pull-up progression. Let's get into it. All right, so usually getting your first pull-up is the hardest pull-up to do. And what we can do in order to make it a little easier is try to reenact the same motion. So the first step would be getting onto a bar that's kind of closer to the ground, using a very slight angle and pulling your body up to that bar and back down. This is going to simulate and stimulate the pull-up motion and help stimulate those muscles involved in the pulling motion. So do a few reps of these. Try to flex all the muscles in your back. You can even pause at the top, hold back down, pause at the top. Just get used to this pulling motion. It's a very easy way to pull your body weight up because we want you to get more comfortable with your body weight. So the first progression is slight angle, low to the ground pull-ups. The next step, once you get comfortable with doing those, is increasing the angle a little bit. So just walk your feet a little further back. You can arch your back if you want to a little bit, but try to keep a nice straight platform and pull up. All this does is increase the stress on the muscles because you're increasing the angle of the pull. And I'm pretty good at pull-ups, and even doing these starts to burn after a few reps. So those are the first two steps. Just increase the angle of the pull. You can even start on like a flat wall. This is just going to get your body used to the motion of pulling itself in certain directions. So increase the angle and then move on from there. Once you get comfortable with that, we're going to move on to the next step. All right, so if that's a little too easy for you, or if you feel like you can progress on to the next step is we're going to strengthen your hands. First thing I would recommend is just holding onto the bar with a dead hang. So that's both arms on the bar and just holding, and then realizing how heavy you are and kind of getting used to holding onto the weight of your own body weight. You can dead hang until failure, just careful of falling on the ground when you let go. But the next progression is holding onto the bar and switching hands. So you're holding on with one hand at a time. So you might need to move your hands a little closer to the center, so when you let go, you're not swinging a bunch. But we're gonna start with two hands, let go, hold with one for a few seconds, put your hand back on the bar, hold, switch, hold, switch, hold. What that's doing is every time you switch your hands, it's engaging your lats. It's getting your body used to overloading on one hand. So when you put two hands back on the bar, you feel much more capable of holding your own body weight. So once you've done a few of those dead hangs and you're ready to move on, we're going to get your body used to the pulling motion of your body weight up by doing jump pull-ups. You don't necessarily have to go all the way chin above the bar. Just go as high as you can, but use your feet to jump off the ground and propel your body up towards the bar. So here, jump. And you can even try to control the lower down portion, the eccentric phase. We'll get into negatives in a little bit, but controlling on the way down is going to help develop the muscles in your back and in your arms. So you can jump, control, jump, control. So that way you're not slamming out, and it's just a safer way to do it, and you can develop muscles from doing that as well. All right, so if that's feeling pretty good or if that's too easy, let's move on to the next step. The next step is going to be half rep pull-ups. So without the assistance of your feet jumping off the ground, you're going to lift your feet off the ground and pull to 90 degrees. Doing half rep pull-ups is going to stimulate all the muscles involved in doing a pull-up without necessarily having to pull all the way up to the top of the bar. You're still using and engaging all the muscles up to a certain point, but it's less of a load, it's less strenuous, and it's easier to do a half rep than it is to do a full rep. So it's a good way to strengthen all the way up to doing a regular pull-up. If you can't do a full pull-up yet, do half reps. All right, so moving on to the next step, we're going to be holding an isometric contraction at 90 degrees, which is just holding your arms bent at 90 degrees. This is a great way to work out all the stabilization muscles that are involved in a pull-up, and it's super safe because isometric contractions are usually safe when doing these exercises. So the way you get into this position is step onto a platform or this notch here on the pull-up bar. Move over a little bit. You're gonna push yourself up 90 degrees and then walk your feet off. Hold this position as long as you can. As soon as you start to fall, go ahead and drop, rest for a little bit, step back onto it, and hold. Once you feel comfortable with those, you can move on to the next step. Okay, so the next and pretty much final step is doing pull-up negatives. I consider these the king in developing pull-up strength. They work out all the muscles at full range of motion, and they're really safe as an exercise. So a pull-up negative, in order to properly perform one, just like we did on the 90-degree isometric contraction, we are going to go to the top of the rep. So your chin is going to be above the bar, and that's where you're going to step off and start lowering down. So go ahead and step on your platform, step up. So I am at the top of my rep. I'm going to step off and lower down slowly. Step up, lower down slowly. And negatives, even today, as somebody I consider a pull-up expert, I still do negatives in my training. I use them all the time. They're extremely good because they work out all the stabilizer muscles. You're stronger in the eccentric portion than you are in the concentric portion on most exercises. And it's just a great way to develop that full range of motion when doing a pull-up. Once you're done and you've done all the steps from the first step to the last step and you feel pretty good, go ahead and rest for a few days because you're going to be pretty sore. But after you've rested, check where you're at. Put it all together. The pulling basics from the hip height pull-up bar all the way up to the isometric contractions to the negatives. You should be developing a really good base for doing a pull-up. And if you can't do a pull-up yet, go ahead and recycle through all these steps and exercises, and eventually you'll get one, no doubt. So put it all together, Heather. And you can increase or actually do and perform a proper pull-up. Hope you all like this video. Take care.